I can go around in glass, which I'll start, which I do in the summer, and see these deer and some nice bucks boarding public or on public that are out in daylight feeding in these fields. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're coming out of these fields in daylight. How quickly would you say, because I know you hunt a lot of public, would you say that shift happens in a hunting season?
It feels like it changes almost instantly, and it's probably after like the first Saturday when the guys start hitting out there. But yeah, like you said, you can scout through the early fall, late summer, and you're seeing these deer out in the fields. You see all this sign on the field edge. You might get excited to set up there, and you do that. And the first weekend of the season, you don't see any deer, and you start to get frustrated and wonder why. After seeing all these deer pre-season, you're setting up on all this sign and you don't see any deer. And often that becomes sign that's made at night, especially on state land. And for me, that was one of the big struggles I had as a younger hunter, hunting state land, not really knowing, all that I was doing at that point in time, and hunting both private and public. You kind of have this mentality that you would sit on the field edge, the deer would come out in the field, and you'd see them out in the fields. And I kind of also had this mentality that I wanted to sit somewhere where I could see a lot. And the edge of the field provided that. So you could sit on the edge, you could see a lot. And my thought process at the time was that if I could see them, then I could move and set up on them. But then you end up not seeing anything. Then you're left scratching your head, wondering why I see all the sign, but I never see any deer. And then you start playing mind games with yourself as to why they're not here. And you kind of start to spiral downwards and get inside your own head. And so for me, kind of a light bulb moment in my hunting public land was kind of when I started to understand that and realize what was going on. And then that sign that I was seeing, even though it was fresh, and there was a lot of it, it was all being made at night, and the deer were back farther off the edge in the thick cover, and they weren't getting to the field till after dark, after I had climbed down out of my tree stand and left. And so I guess as a younger hunter, a newer hunter, I think that understanding, especially on hunting public land, will go a long way in increasing the number of deer you see and your odds of success.
Yeah, I think by far, cover, security, deer feeling safe is the number one thing. And so if on private land, if you can cultivate that safeness, and they'll come out during daylight, great. But you have to really be careful to create that environment, right? Right. Public land, you can't control all the other guys, and so pretty quickly, in my experiences, like within a few days, depending on the pocket, like maybe there's a pocket that doesn't get hunted, so the deer are kind of untouched, but within a few days, those deer figure it out, and they're not going out to those open areas, to those field edges, anything like that, and cover is the number one thing that's important to them. And then food. And in Michigan here, they can usually get water about anywhere. So that's not a huge draw, like maybe where it is out west, where there's less water, and that's more of a thing you can hunt over a little more easily. But cover and then food, and that they can wait until dark to get the food, especially if there's browse and things where they're bedding. So they really don't have to do too much. And so it's, how do I get, and I'm just trying to summarize what you're saying here, how do I get to where they're going to move in daylight, they still feel safe, I know they're going to go toward food probably, but how can I get close enough but not too close to catch them? And that's going off needs and motivations of deer.